Vinny, what I do with my work, and I hope people understand this, is I am not an optimist nor a pessimist. I actually try to be a pragmatic realist, believe it or not. A lot of people would label me as a hardcore pessimist, a doomsayer or whatever. I'm not. I'm honestly not. All I look at, you can look at me as a physicist, okay? It's probably maybe one of the I was on track to being an engineer. A lot of people don't know that about me, okay? I went into physics and engineering in my actual formalized education. I attended an Ivy League university. I went to the University of Pennsylvania here in Philadelphia and studied mechanical engineering, okay? So I know quite a bit about physics, okay? My attitude is always about how much force is going to be required for this, okay? Meaning, how much work are you going to have to do, okay, to accomplish this task? And I weigh it very scientifically and pragmatically, not emotionally, okay? I get very upset about where we're at versus where I think we should be with all the data that's in the world, with all the information, the myriad of information that is in this world. We should be much farther along the spiritual path than we are, okay? Yet, in the very freedom movement, you have people that are trying to debunk natural law and spirituality and consciousness and think that none of these things have anything to do with freedom. It's all just getting the reins of power, seizing the reins of politics, seizing the reins of the financial power, and that will never make you free. That is the problem. That's the essence of the problem, is that any of that exists. Okay? Nobody's talking about actual objective morality under natural law. Hardly, and there's a handful of people. I could count them on less than two hands in the world that are doing this, that are doing it effectively, okay? That are doing it wide scale and effectively, I should say. There are more than that doing it, right? But if you hard pressed me to say, Mark, right now in this show, go online and find other people who are actually teaching natural law as it really is, I might be able to find you two or three, maybe, okay? And that's pathetic. It's completely and utterly pathetic. And there are people who still insist, no, that's not going to be the solution. And I've been trying to tell people since day one, there is no other solution and never has been and never will be. And that's why tyranny marches on and on and on. And it will continue in cycles of tyranny and destruction, tyranny and destruction, tyranny, destruction, and rebuilding, tyranny, destruction, and rebuilding, tyranny, destruction, and rebuilding for eternity until this planet or our species is destroyed permanently. Okay, unless humanity understands what natural law is, how it works, and how to align their behavior with it. And nothing, anyone in any audience, anywhere on this planet or anywhere else in the damn universe for that matter, ever says will ever make that statement untrue. And if anybody thinks that's untrue, you're wrong, and you need to reassess your mental evaluation of what's happening on Earth, because you haven't figured it out yet, boy and girl. And get as offended about that as you like. It will never make it untrue. And that goes really out to all the other anarchists out there. I'm pointing at you and talking at you. You don't know what's going on if you're an atheist. You don't know what's going on if you reject natural law. You don't know what's going on if you think that all of that is bunk and it's not happening and karma doesn't exist and what we put out into the universe through our consciousness isn't directly driving this. Okay? No, you want to be the little brainwashed atheist that the public school system pumped out, which is run by all the eugenicists and social engineers. And just because you hate religion so much, which believe me, I'm right there with you, okay? That's part of the problem. That's really the entirety of the problem. And the religions called government, money, authoritarianism, the belief in authority, etc., they're all religions too. Okay, I'm right there with you with the hatred of religion. But if you make you throw out the baby with the bathwater and just say there's no such thing as any higher power in the world, there's no such thing as any forces or laws that govern human behavior and morality, you have completely thrown away the key to unlock your own cage. That's what's happened. And that's where most people are at in this movement. This movement has made no progress. As a matter of fact, people were much more open to the understanding of all of this back in 2006, 7, and 8. Following when 9/11 truth started getting pretty big, when the whole Ron Paul revolution was going on, and people, but they were looking to him as a savior, okay, instead of really understanding it. But people were more open to understanding this now. Now you have closed-mindedness. You have people that think there's only a political solution, or there's only a financial solution, or that like cryptocurrencies are going to solve everything in the world and be our savior, or Trump is the savior. I mean, you have people with their heads so far up their ass that they're just never going to pull it out in their natural lifetimes. They're going to die in that state of ignorance because they can't get past the ego. They can't get past man isn't the highest power in creation. They can't get past we are accountable under natural law for the behaviors that we choose collectively, that everyone is thinking and then therefore making decisions on and then enacting in the world. Okay? And all of that in the aggregate comes together to bring us our collective shared experience of life on Earth. And they cannot understand that. They can't do it because they're too – atheism is one of the biggest things that I really have to start harping on harder and harder and harder and harder and harder, because I feel that the people who are anti-spiritual, that have no spirituality in their lives, okay, and think that consciousness and spirituality are like some buzzwords that are meaningless and have no actual deep meaning and are at the foundation of what is causing the human condition of slavery. They're doing actually more harm to freedom than the police that are directly assaulting people's rights. Because at least they're not out there trying to philosophically dissuade people from understanding the truth. They're just the dumb morons that they are, just doing behaviors without thinking. But at least they're not out there trying to dissuade people away from spirituality and truth. They're just order-following robot trash. Okay? The people who are actually doing far more harm to freedom in the aggregate are the atheists out there who are pumping out the idea that consciousness is meaningless, that spirituality is meaningless, and that natural law doesn't exist, because they don't want to accept that there's a higher power than little old mankind, and they want to think we're God. Well, guess what? You're the exact source of the problem that's happening. The exact source of it. You're causing it by the very way you think that you refuse to change.